Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Make the Most of Your Conference Experience. This webinar is part of the AOTA live webinar series. Closed captioning is available for this webinar. To access, click on Show Captions in the menu bar. My name is Aiden Alicon, and I'm the assistant with meetings and events here at AOTA, and I'd like to point out a few housekeeping items for today's presentation. First, questions. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat and Q&A box. Please use the Q&A box to enter any questions we have for our presenters throughout the webinar. Questions will be answered towards the end of the webinar, and the presenters will do their best to answer as many questions as time allows. Next, resources. Once I turn over to our presenter today, I will add a link to the resources in the chat box. Please make sure to open the link during the webinar, as you will not be able to go back and download once the webinar ends. I am now pleased to turn it over to our presenters.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Make the Most of Your Experience. My name is Leslie Jones, and I am the Director of Meetings and Events here at AOTA. And I'm going to start off introducing myself. And I had to count how many AOTA conferences I've been to because I've worked for AOTA 2 times. So I had to go think about the first time and then the second time. So I think I have at least eight, somewhere between 8 and 10, I think. And one of those was the virtual Inspire conference that we did back in 2021. So I have a few of these conferences underneath my belt already. But I'll let the rest of the panel introduce themselves right now. Bridget, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Bridget Campbell. I'm the manager of meetings and events. And I think this is going to be my 6th in-person, 7 overall, counting the virtual one in 2021. And excited to get to Philadelphia. I've started in 2018, so I missed the centennial.
Oh, and Bridget, I forgot. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite conference moment that you want to share with everyone?
Oh, probably. There's
Think
so many
about
good ones.
I was like, when I think about it, we'll let Paula and Stacia introduce ourselves, then we can come back to
Sounds good.
it. Paula.
I'm Paula McNamara. I am the local conference committee chair and I live in Philadelphia. And I was trying to figure out when we talked about this earlier. I think this is my first conference was when I was a student, many, many years ago. But I think this might be my 11th. And then I did the virtual one too. It's many times it's hard to remember.
And Stacia, what about you?
I'm Stacia, and I think this would be my 11th year volunteering for on-site conferences, which just seems crazy. I'm definitely not old enough for that. But I also first started going to conference when I was a student. Um, I think it would have been 2011, so it's like my 14th or 15th conference, excluding 2020 and 2021. And my favorite conference moment is kind of a series of moments, but I started as a volunteer after doing one of my level 2 field works with the AOTA conference staff. And couple of years later, there was another woman named Kendra that also did her level 2 field work with them and as continuing to come as a volunteer as well. And the instant connection that her and I had is just amazing, and people think it's hilarious how much we're alike, and they think we're sisters, but we're just conference sisters, and I look forward to seeing her every year. So that's
Awesome. Yes, we have had the pleasure of having both Stacia and Kendra as our not capstone student, but fieldwork students. Yeah, so they have a special bond with our team already.
for better or for worse.
I was going to say my favorite conference moment, not my favorite, but it's probably my most memorable because it was like my first working on the team was 2017 for the Centennial, which was in Philadelphia. And just looking down at the sea of people, it was the largest conference we ever had, 14,000 people, and just seeing all of the people and just being amazed by all of the people that were there and the fun that everyone was having. So that's probably my most memorable conference experience. Bridget, what do you have?
Um, so like I said, I do have a lot of them. I'd say it was either 2019 in New Orleans, that first morning, which if you were there, The line for registration was long. The rain was coming down like we did not expect it to. But we had a lot of fun music playing and like we had different people working the line and it was just a lot of fun. Everyone seemed to be in great spirits despite everything. So it's always great to see that when you get on site and people are enjoying themselves. And then I think the other one would have been in Kansas City in 2023 when everyone was moving to the keynote and we had people coming from like 4 different hallways converging into one area, trying to get them all the way down the hall. And again, it was just like talking and it was kind of like our first like conference fully back from COVID. And so it was just really cool to see just that many people in one place again, just having a great time and looking forward to the keynote that year.
Awesome. Paula, do you have a favorite memory?
I think one of the things that I enjoy that it's a continual memory is reconnecting with people at conference. That over the years as I've moved and as other people have moved to be able to kind of find people, even if you're not expecting to see them, and then connect on what's been happening both in practice and in life.
Awesome. So for all of those that are watching this, we'll look forward to finding out what your favorite memory is from this year's Inspire conference. So Bridget, you want to go ahead and get us kicked off? You're muted.
Thank you. Thought I had hit that. So to give you just a little insight into what Inspire is before you get there, it is the annual official meeting of the American Occupational Therapy Association, and it is the chance to earn contact hours for your certification renewal. If you come for all 3 days and go to everything you could possibly go to, it's a little over 19 hours that you can get. We also have a lot of networking events, including some alumni receptions every night after sessions end. Social events. We have in the expo hall, you can visit both AOTA Experience to learn about our products and services, as well as other products and services that our different exhibitors have. It is a chance to recognize your peers through the award ceremony that is what culminates the event on Saturday evening. And then it's just a chance to re-energize, as Paula mentioned, getting to see people that you don't always see, making those connections again, and just really having the chance to leave, having learned a lot of information and met and interacted with a lot of people, and be re-energized to get back to work wherever your setting is.
So most of the events take place at 2 different locations. One is the Philadelphia Convention Center, and the other one is our headquarters hotel, the Marriott. At the majority of the educational sessions will be happening at the convention center, and registration is in the Grand Hall. And if you're coming, the easiest way to get to that registration is to come in on Market Street. It'll take you right up there. And registration in the Grand Hall will be open from Wednesday through Saturday. And if you look at our app, which we'll talk about later, you can see the times for that. There will be restrooms on all levels of both the convention center and the hotel, including all access restrooms. And then there's also limited food options within the convention itself, but underneath the convention center is Reading Terminal Market that has a large array of different vendors and food options and coffee and anything else you want, tourist memorabilia. And it's connected to the convention center. And then the headquarters hotel, there is a walkway between the Marriott and the convention center. And registration there will be happening on the 5th floor at desk 2, and it's open Monday and Wednesday. And again, look at the app for times for the registration hours will be open. And also in the Marriott, there's a couple different meetings, some special events, alumni receptions. All that information will be in the app. And then again, as I said, on the 3rd floor, there's a walkway that connects the convention center and the Marriott.
Perfect. Thanks, Paula. As Paula mentioned, registration is going to be at the Pennsylvania Convention Center Grand Hall. If you see PCC in the app, that's referring to the Pennsylvania Convention Center. And the Grand Hall is like the lobby or the conference hub. It's where you're going to find registration, support and solutions, and the information booth. If you're looking for AOT Pack or AOTF, they also will be in this area as well. Registration is where you're going to start your AOTA INSPIRE experience. This is where you can add ticketed events to your order if you registered without signing up, but a colleague suggested you attend the breakfast or an event and you want to add it. There's always a booth where you can add that in. It's also where you're going to pick up your badge and your conference tote. And these things can be done if you're on site early and you want to get it out of the way. You can pick up your tote and bag if you've already registered your tote and badge and at the Marriott before the conference opens. Support and solutions is where you'll find lost and found. And it's also app support and any questions that you can think of. That's where I've lived most of the years. And then the information booth we're going to talk about next is also in that lobby. As you can see from the picture, we also have floating people around with NPC question marks where you can gain more information or ask questions. And there also will be someone like me or me floating around in each general area where the sessions are if you get lost or have questions. But I'm going to throw in to be patient with us as well because we don't work at that building. So we're learning at the same time. But we are there to help you find your way and wherever you may end up.
So the information booth that was mentioned, that will be staffed by the local conference committee. So myself and the 6 other local conference committee members, we are all familiar for the most part with Philadelphia and the area. So if you need information on the local area, restaurants and entertainment, we did create a whole spreadsheet that has different restaurant recommendations with dietary needs or that kind of thing. So we'll have a QR code there that you can click on to have access to that information. If you have any accessibility needs, you can come and check there. There are some longer distance for signage, we will have signage for longer distances. The convention center and the Marriott are, there is a lot of walking that happens. So if you feel like you might need some mobility support, there are scooter rounds that you can rent for the time while you're at the conference center. That there's information too that you can register for that before you even come to conference. And then one thing that a lot of people like to come and get are the ribbons. And so those will also all be at the information booth, and we will keep them plentiful in the pockets.
Great. And then just a couple other locations that you'll want to know about throughout conference. The first is bag check. We will have a bag check on the Convention Center registration bridge that is over by Expo Hall A and B. That will be open Friday and Saturday, and information will be in the About Conference section of the app for both cost and times. But just one thing to note about that is space is limited, so we also encourage you to use your hotel's bag check as well if that's feasible for your schedule. We will also have EMT first aid set up in the Grand Hall of the Convention Center, or if you just need a Band-Aid for a blister that popped up, come visit Support and Solutions. We'll have some of those for you. We also will have a Mother's Lounge. We have 2 locations. One will be in the Convention Center in room 302, and the other one will be in the Marriott in room 307. And the app has both dates and daily times listed for each of those locations because they are open starting at different times based on what is happening at either building going on throughout conference. We also will have a prayer room that will be down on the 100 level this year of the Convention Center in room 100A. And then we will have a sensory room that will be in room 300 of the Convention Center. And please make sure that if you plan to use the sensory room or think you might need to use the sensory room, make sure you bring headphones with you to take full advantage of some of the opportunities that will be up there.
So if this is your first Inspire conference, it can be pretty overwhelming. We offer a lot. Most people are coming to get their continuing education for either their licensure renewal or their certification renewal. So we just wanted to take a few moments to give you a lay of the land. And when you're looking in the conference app and building your schedule, you know what each of these different session types are at Inspire. So, first of all, on Wednesday, we have the pre conference institutes, and those are 6 hour sessions. They are ticketed sessions, so you do have to register in advance. I will say that this year they have been very popular and some of the sessions are already sold out and you can't get into them. And even if you call us and ask us, unfortunately, the speakers have limited us on some of the sessions to a certain number. So if it says sold out already, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to accommodate you, but there are 14 different pre-conference institutes. Most of them are at the convention center. There are two that are over at the Marriott. So just make sure that you are paying attention and know which location to go to if you plan on attending those sessions. And those start at noon on Wednesday and they go to 6:30 p.m. And we do leave opportunity for breaks during that time, since 6 hours is quite a bit of time to be able to be in a session. The majority of short courses that you'll find at Inspire are 1 hour courses, and they will be located by practice area. We have the entire convention center. So we know what are the very popular sessions, the children and youth session, the rehab and disability sessions. And so those are in larger rooms. But if you go into a room and you see the dreaded session full sign, just go next door. There's another session for you to attend next door. So try, and I know Stacia and Bridget will talk about this when you're in the app, but try and pick more than one session as you're starting to plan for the event. Workshops are 3 hour sessions, and workshops mostly are going to be in the mornings. They're not every day in the afternoon because we know 3 hours is hard to sit in the afternoon. So we're trying to bring a little variety to this conference and put the workshops in the morning when you're probably best prepared to handle a 3 hour intensive workshop. In addition, we have clinical application of research panels, which, if you've attended before, were previously known as scientific research panels. So, if you're searching for those, we have a new name for those. And those are 1 hour sessions that are divided into 30-minute panels. And so you'll see an A and a B. So just know you don't have to stay the whole time. If you just want to go to the A portion, you can do that and then jump to another room. Or if you want to come late for the second 30 minutes, and they're 30-minute sessions. So just pick one or both to attend for the clinical application of research panels. Tech labs, we do have tech presentations where we'll have different presenters. Those are also 1 hour sessions. And those, I'm drawing a blank right now, are, I think they're on Saturday, but Bridget, maybe you can pop into the chat or
They're only on Saturday.
I was right. I was like, I didn't trust myself for a second on the tech labs, but those are on Saturday. Poster sessions are 2 hour sessions, and those will happen all 3 days of the conference. And it's a great opportunity to see what's going on and research with all of your colleagues. And we also have students that are presenting their posters as well. So please support those. And then finally, student sessions are 50-minute sessions that we'll be offering, and those are only going to be offered on Thursday and Saturday. And I think I hit them all.
All right. So now that Leslie's given us an overview of the different types of sessions, I'm going to dive a little bit into how to choose which ones you want to attend. And then I'm going to have some more tips and tricks for building your schedule later. But this is a screenshot of what the app looks like once you've clicked on one of the sessions. You can see that there are tracks, which are broken down by primary and secondary topics, which all education sessions will have. The research area and type that the research panels and research posters have. and the technology area that the labs have. So those are going to be the topics and things discussed in the session that you can search for using the filter button. And there are also tracks that indicate the course level. This might be one of the most important things to think about when you're choosing a session, because it's the knowledge or experience level that the speaker recommends when attending their session. So if you see that it says advanced, the speaker is going to assume that you have an amount of knowledge about the topic that they're going to discuss. But if it says introductory, then you can come in knowing nothing or next to nothing, and learn something new. I'm also going to point out, hopefully you can see, there's a little PDF icon under that session title. And so if the speaker provided handouts, that's what it's going to look like. That PDF icon will be there. And when you click on that purple box and scroll down to resources, that's where you're going to find the file that you can download. So if that's something that's helpful to you, that you want to have when you attend a session, those would be the ones that can move them up on your priority list. But just know that speakers are not required to provide handouts. And if they tell you that they did, but you don't see them on the app, they either might have provided them last minute and the AOTA staff is still working to add them. You can keep checking the app or contact the speaker if they provided the means to contact them and say there was some miscommunication, but we don't have their handouts and they weren't uploaded by the speaker.
Okay, so the Inspire app, there is a QR code on the bottom right of your slide that you are able to scan right now and download the app if you haven't yet. But this is the only place to access the full event schedule, and you can customize your conference agenda. And as we mentioned earlier, it's really helpful to add at least 2 sessions per time block to make sure that you have a backup in case the original session that you wanted to go to is full. If you do have a session that you really want to go to, please make sure you get there before it starts. Usually sessions fill after the session has started. So if you have something that you really have your heart set on, get there about 15 minutes early. You can also in the app check out the exhibitors, easily locate their booth through the interactive map of the expo floor. If people have set up a public profile, you can see who's attending. You can also set yours up that way, and you can share contact information to help network with other attendees that are there. There also is a desktop version that you can use leading up to conference. Just make sure that you follow the instructions we have on our website about creating a account. So that way you can sign in on the desktop version. And then when you get on site and transfer over to the mobile app, all of the information that you've spent time saving is still there for you. When you go into the app the first time, it'll ask you if you want to set up push notifications, and we definitely recommend doing that because we will be sending important updates and exciting offers while we're in Philadelphia. And then if you need any assistance with the app, just feel free to stop by the support and solutions desk for help. Everyone there utilizes the apps for their own conference experience, so they'll be able to walk you through and show you some tips and tricks and figure out how to get you on there if you're having some trouble. And there will be free Wi-Fi in the convention center, and that information will be in the About the Conference section of the app, as well as in the Inspire Insights that you'll have in your conference tote when you head to registration.
All right, so let's talk about continuing education credit because we know that's a big reason why many of you are attending. So in your conference tote that you will receive when you arrive in the Grand Hall in the registration area, you will see this beautifully designed one-page sheet in your conference tote. It's called the Continuing Education Guide. And basically, we ask that you use this to keep track of the sessions that you've attended throughout the 3 days that you're in Philadelphia, or 4 days if you come for pre-conference sessions. So make sure that you're marking off what you're attending. Now, this is really important. This is not your continuing education record that you would submit to your licensure board or the certification board. This is just your guide for you to keep track until we send you an email after the conference is over of what you have attended. So please make sure that you're keeping track of this. Hold on to this. When you get back home, you'll receive an email from us on the Monday after the conference, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more. But that's what you'll actually use to build your transcript and receive your certificate after the conference is over. I also wanted to point out that on this sheet for posters, for a poster session, you can collect credit for up to 10 posters. We'll give you 2 contact hours. So make sure that's only 10 and you're writing down all the 10 because you actually do need to identify which 10 you selected when you fill out the conference transcript. And once again, just keep a lookout for an email on the day after the conference is over, and be kind. And we're going to ask for a little grace that if you don't get the email on the Monday after, if you can just give us some time that week, we'll be recovering. And you can follow up with us the following week if you still haven't received. We do recommend that you check your spam, as a lot of times the emails do end up in spam. So keep an eye out for that email, but show us a little grace and give us a little time to recover after the conference if you don't receive it. Thanks.
Too far on that one. All right, so back to the Expo and AOTA experience. This is kind of the second biggest reason I think people come is to visit the Expo Hall. So that is going to be in halls A, B of the Convention Center. The exhibitors and the Expo Hall floor plan are located in the app, so you can familiarize yourself with the layout of that before you even get on site. Daily times are in the schedule in the app. And one thing to note, on Thursday, April 3rd, directly after the We Rise keynote address, we will have a grand opening and boxed lunch in the Expo Hall that will be from 12:30 to 2:30. Located in the heart of the Expo Hall is the AOTA Experience and Store. So that is where you would go if you're looking for any AOTA and OT month merchandise. Our AOTA Press will have copies of all of their books there, and they will have a special discount for conference attendees. And we will also have 4 booths that will be run by AOTA staff and volunteers, with topics changing every 45 minutes. And those are in the app as well. So if you look up the AOTA experience, you'll be able to see all 4 of the booths along with the specific topic that is going on. If you use those filters for the primary and secondary topics that Stacia talked about, any session of the experience that covers those topics would also come up in your search as well. And then you'll also have the chance to collect special ribbons at each booth to be entered into a raffle for either a free AOTA INSPIRE 2026 conference, which will be in Anaheim, or you'll be able to get an AOTA membership for free as part of that raffle that will be happening. So make sure you go there, visit the booths, get your ribbons, and enter the raffle.
All right. Well, it's a packed 3 days when you arrive in Philadelphia. So make sure you get your rest now so that you're prepared to take in all that will be happening while we're there. So we have quite a few special events that we would like to highlight for you today. So on Thursday, when you do arrive, if you're new to the conference, this is your first time, we encourage you to join us for the morning buzz, which is at 7:15 a.m. And our content weaver, Shara Michelle, along with other conference veterans, will be there to take you through a little exercise. You'll get to meet new people, form new friends. They might be friends that'll be lifetime friends, your conference buddies from here on out. So if you're looking, and I'll give you a little tip here, we provide free coffee. So if you need some free coffee, 7:15 in the convention center on Thursday morning is the morning buzz, and it'll be located just a few steps from the registration area in the grand hall. So come pick up your badge and then attend and network with other newbies and veterans too at the morning buzz. We have a great lineup on Thursday. Coach Dar, who is an occupational therapist, will be presenting our keynote session. We're very excited. She's very excited to present to her colleagues and peers. So we're looking forward to that. In the afternoon, we're going to host the inaugural Leela Lorenz lecture, and that will be given by Shirley Wells. She'll be talking about leading integration in occupational therapy, and she's going to talk about her journey as an occupational therapy practitioner and the people that she's met and how that's influenced her in her career. This is a special year because we have two presidential addresses on Friday. We will be saying goodbye to Allison Stover. Her term will be ending in June as president of AOTA. So she'll be giving her farewell address, and she's going to be taking us inside the OT studio. So she'll be bringing up 3 additional practitioners that are going to talk about some of the things that they're doing and how we can all step forward into the future. Our incoming president will be giving her inaugural address, Arami Anverzadeh, and she will be doing that on Thursday or Friday afternoon. So she's going to be talking about shattering glass ceilings. So you'll want to be present for that as well. And then to end on Saturday, Dr. Roseanne Schaff from Thomas Jefferson University will be giving the Slagle Lecture this year. And I think that you all will really enjoy the presentation talking about data and how, I forget the precision occupational therapy through data-driven decision making. And then, as if it wasn't enough, to end it, we have our awards ceremony to end the conference on Saturday evening. And then everyone is invited. Included in your conference registration is the awards reception. So come, gather, and celebrate your colleagues and all of their accomplishments. So is this me still? Or no, this is you, Paul.
So a little bit of conference etiquette. The first thing, and it's been mentioned already, we ask you to please be kind to our volunteers. They're volunteering their time throughout the week to help us because that's kind of how we can do what we're doing for conference. Before you come, if you can review the AOTA Code of Conduct, it's available on the AOTA website. When you are entering and exiting sessions, to kind of be aware that might be disruptive to people. So if you come to a session, to try to stay through the whole thing of time, if you're able to leave, or if you need to leave, to kind of be mindful of people around you if you have to leave. There are some sessions that are ticketed events. If you don't have a ticket, if you haven't paid for it, then you will not be allowed to enter those sessions. We ask that mobile phones are off or on vibrate throughout sessions to decrease distraction to both presenters and attendees. There's no audio taping or taking images of sessions or slides without permission. There is accessible seating in the different sessions. Look for the signage in the front of the room, or you can check with the volunteers when you're coming in. There's no saving seats. We encourage you to get there on time, especially if it's a hot session. Because once the room monitors count and they've reached capacity, then the session will be closed and nobody else will be allowed in. And so we request that you're respectful of being told that the session is full. And then the last thing, when you're in the sessions, please keep the aisles free. This is a fire marshal regulation, and we want to make sure if for some reason there's an emergency that people can get out safely. Anything else to add to that, Leslie?
No, I think you covered it. So, evaluation and feedback. We take evaluation and feedback very seriously. And so, there's a few different mechanisms for you to be able to survey and provide that to us. One is the post conference survey. You'll receive that following the conference. The week after, we'll be sending that out to all attendees. And we do read it and we take action based on it. So, if there's something that you see, we encourage you to put your feedback into that survey. For all of our sessions within the conference app, you can actually rate and provide comments to all of our speakers, and the speakers find this really helpful. So, and we share that with the speakers following the conference upon their requests. So please share your feedback and rate the sessions in the conference app so that the speakers can see that feedback and we can continue to improve the programming that we have at Inspire. And finally, if there's just too many words and you can't get it into the survey or into the app, feel free to send us an email. We monitor that email, conference@aota.org, and we appreciate the feedback and thank you for it. And like I said, many of the changes that you see at the event are based directly from attendee feedback.
All right, so social media, definitely make sure that you are sharing your experience while you're on site. We have a hashtag for conference and it is AOTA Inspire 25, not 2025. So please make sure that you're using AOTA Inspire 25 on all of your posts. We also, in the app, you can find links to all of our social media accounts on Facebook, X or Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We also on our inspire.aota.org website have these banners that you can share on your social media or add to email signatures, letting people know that you're either speaking at conference, attending, or exhibiting. So please, if you are coming, we'd love to have you download those and share the word about conference and that you'll be there.
All right. So I thought it would be a good idea to jump in with a few slides with some tips and tricks that I've learned over the many years, both as an attendant and as a volunteer. Some of this stuff has already been mentioned, but clearly if we all thought of it, then it's something worth mentioning. But the purpose of the first bullet point was to set the expectation that there will be a lot of walking involved. And I know that they've said that's been said previously as well. But the first bullet point is to a learn from my mistake moment, because a couple of years ago I was like, I'm gonna get some nice new Skechers for conference that were super comfortable, and then by the second day I had blisters because they were new. Um, which leads to the next piece of advice is to bring band-aids. But again, like Bridget said, the EMS and first aid areas will have band-aids, and the support and solutions desk knows to stock a healthy supply of them as well. It never hurts to come early and orient yourself to the building. If you have the opportunity to come early in the morning or the day before, and just aimlessly walk around, find landmarks that work for you. And if you've already started building your schedule, you can skip the aimlessly part and start finding the session rooms for your first day. Another way you can reduce your steps, if needed or wanted, is to consider the course locations when you're planning your schedule. And I have some more tips for that later. But even though AOTA staff have gone over the schedule and attempted to group similar topics near each other, like Leslie mentioned, there may be times where your first choice courses have you running back and forth between each session. So it might be worth having going to your second choice to cut down on the amount of walking. And speaking of the schedule, like Bridget said, we recommend building it in advance and having at least 2 backups for each time slot. You may start a session and not find the speaker engaging. The topic may not be as interesting or as relevant as you'd hoped. And as it has been said, even though AOTA tries everything in their power to avoid this, your first choice session might fill up. So the more backups you have, the less chance you will need to scramble to find something else. In addition to the session location, you want to consider things like the session type, the speaker, and other factors of the sessions. Some of the questions to ask yourself is if a 3-hour workshop is going to be too much to do all at once. Most do schedule a short break, at least a stretch one, but it's not required. Or if you like having more information about fewer topics overall, then workshops might be a good way to go. There also might be a speaker you admire that you've either seen before or read some of their work, and you have the opportunity to ask them questions after the session. Those might be sessions to attend. And the biggest piece of advice I have is to avoid judging a session by the buzzwords of its title. Um, Read the session descriptions. Those are found by clicking on the session. That screenshot that I shared of the app, when you click on the title listed under topics, you'll see an arrow to on the right, and that's where you'll find the session description. And the information we talked about earlier under tracks is they're indicated by the speaker when they submit. So they will tell you a few topics that are discussed, as well as, again, the session level, the introductory, intermediate, and advanced. And like Bridget said, sessions are first come, first serve. It is the app is meant to be a helpful tool to track and organize your sessions. You either want to attend or the ones that you do attend, for if that's how it works to track your CEs. But they don't actually reserve your spot, and the session attendance is also based on the honor system. So there will be no one scanning your badge when you go in or when you leave. It's expected that you keep track of that, and as Leslie said, fill that sheet out or track it in the app, whatever works for you, to be able to enter that later after the conference. And then, separate from networking, make it a point to make at least one new friend. We all love occupational therapy, so you know that you already have that one thing in common, but you may even see a familiar face in multiple sessions that you're in, or just someone sitting alone that you can walk up and just say hi. And then these are some of the big highlights that we've talked about already. Both the general sessions, whether or not you're with a group, it's a good idea to arrive early. The room is huge, so trying to find each other in the crowd is nearly impossible. So if you can coordinate where you want to sit in advance, the aisles tend to be pretty lively during the opening ceremonies. And the location information is here. It's PCC Hall C, and it's in the app as well. But often the easiest way to find yourselves to the general sessions is just follow the crowd. There are thousands of people walking towards this session. So if you see a big line of people walking, that's where they're going. The expo hall is also a fantastic place for networking and or job hunting. There are vendors with impressive tools and tech to check out. However, the first afternoon after the opening will draw the biggest crowd. So if you're easily overstimulated and you don't care about being the first to the food or the freebies, I would recommend waiting either later in the day or the following day. The booths and vendors will be there until the end. And honestly, most of the vendors bring enough branded giveaways that you can still get quite the collection wandering through on the last day. However, sold merchandise does sell out, especially at the AOTA experience. T-shirt, clothing vendors are quite popular. So if that's something that's important to you, I would hit that up early. And I think the last item speaks for itself, but you'll notice that reusable or cloth bags and pens are the most offered freebie by the different vendors. So make sure to leave space in your suitcase. And if you haven't been exhausted by your hours at conference, make sure to visit the information booth for the recommendations on fun things to do locally. Like Paula said, there are some great historical landmarks in Philadelphia. So planning time to take advantage of what the city has to offer and do something touristy could be fun. However, if we have any How I Met Your Mother fans here, I don't recommend the tourist thing be licking the Liberty Bell. And you also don't want to forget souvenirs. For example, think about getting an item you may want to collect from each conference location you attend. Something like enamel pins and shot glasses are easy to display, or something from the local culture or cuisine. You don't want to get to your second or third conference and say, oh man, I wish I had started collecting such and such. And because I'm a mom, I had to add the last part. Uh, but also remember, those 8 a.m. sessions come real early. And then just a really quick what to bring and not to bring. definitely snacks. It's a long day. And you'll also want to bring a water bottle and a backup water bottle and a backup to your backup water bottle, preferably ones that you aren't attached to. So as I said, this is like my 11th year manning the table that has the lost and found. And water bottles are the most requested lost items and the least frequently turned in items. I have no idea why, but it's the same every year. But there will be refilling stations placed around the conference center. I recommend bringing chargers because the battery on your cell phone or your tablet or your laptop will inevitably die, and we do not have chargers available. If you have portable charging stations, I would also recommend bringing those if you can't sit near an outlet and need to charge. There is a way to take notes in the app, but bring whatever works best for you, whether it's pen and paper, printing the handouts ahead of time, whatever works. And then another reminder for comfortable shoes. And as always, bring your positivity.
And then after you've gone through conference, if you are like, this is amazing, I want to be a part of next year's conference as a speaker, the call for papers for Anaheim will open on May 16th and run through June 20th. Oh, those are not the right dates. I think it's May 17th to June 21st, 2025. We'll get that updated. Yeah, we have the call open. A lot of first-time speakers like to start with a poster presentation, but we have a lot of information for all the other types of sessions in our instructions and templates, which will be available in early May as we get closer to that launch date for Anaheim. So you can read those over and decide if you want to participate or not. The call for reviewers would also be at the same time. So you'll be able to help review submissions if you aren't ready to commit to speaking yourself, but still want to be a part of the selection process for conference.
All right. So I don't think there's any questions in the chat, and I didn't see any come in throughout the presentation. We hope that this has been helpful to everyone. We look forward to welcoming everyone to Philadelphia in a few weeks. If there is something that we didn't touch on today, wear comfy shoes. Just a reminder, wear comfy shoes. Don't bring new shoes. If you didn't get anything else out of it, bring comfy shoes and plan in advance. Download the app. Those are our two big reminders for you. So hopefully this is helpful. We look forward to seeing everyone in Philadelphia. You can always email us if there's something else that we didn't touch on today at conference@aota.org. If not, we will see everyone in Philadelphia in the Grand Hall when you come and pick up your registration badge and tote. So thank you all so much for participating today in this presentation.